there, spooky friends. And I feel like my mic is really high or low for me. I don't know. Yours says yours is high, right? Mine is low. It's weird.
Yeah, it feels weird. Go ahead and take that intro again.
Hey, spooky friends. Oh, wait. What? Hello, spooky friends, and welcome to another episode of Storytime with the Scariest Podcast.
Woo!
I'm Robin Grace. This is Adam Diaz.
Hello.
And thank you for joining us for another episode where we read your homegrown horrors. Adam, why don't you tell us what a homegrown horror is?
A homegrown horror is a story that you have sent to us that either happened to you, a friend, a family member, maybe someone you know, that's either spooky, spiritual, coincidental, horrific, sometimes true crime, that you decided you want to share with us so that we can share it with the listeners, which we sincerely appreciate. Robin, if someone out there has a story like that, where can they send it to? If
you have a story you'd like to share with us, you can email it to us at storytime@scariest.com. That's our email. You can go to our website, scariest.com, and there's a contact us page. You can fill out that form, and it emails it to us that way. We also have a whole bunch of different social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, stuff like that. So check it out.
Yeah, wherever you're comfortable sending it in, we are more than happy to get that story and share it with the spooky friends. And if you have a story that you just want to share with us, you can send that to us too, and we'll just respond to you. We got some stuff today as well that was just for our eyes only, and we appreciate folks reaching out like that. It kind of makes me feel good to know that we're a safe place, even if you don't want to share with everyone. It's, you know, that's what we're here for. So we're not professionals by any means. We're just two people that have both messed up a lot in life, and we can give advice based off of all of our scars, physical and emotional.
Two peas in a messed up pod.
Exactly. So, all right, I believe I'm going first this week. So this first email subject is share on the pod, please. It's always nice when you say please. And it goes like this. Hello, Adam and Robin.
Hello.
Hello. What's up? I have been listening to your podcast literally since Christmas 2019. I got recommended your podcast by Spotify. Shout out Spotify. It actually says it in the email, too. And I love it more than any other podcast.
What's funny is a lot of the times when we get emails and messages on Facebook that say, like, hey, I found you guys on Spotify, it always says shout out to Spotify.
When we met Chris Alton, he told us that he started listening to us through Spotify, and he literally went, shout out Spotify. It's pretty cool.
So, yeah, I think it's funny when people do that. It's just something that has kept on for the 2 years that we've been doing this.
I love Spotify, so we're, okay, I don't know how much I want to say, but someone is like trying to recruit us from somewhere that's attached to Spotify, which is pretty cool, so we'll see what happens with that. Probably nothing, but who knows. The email goes on. Anyways, a few nights ago, I was sleeping in my bed because I am a normal person who sleeps, LOL, and I felt an overwhelming sense of terror and a general feeling that something was very wrong. Out of nowhere, someone walked into the room. I could not tell who they were. They had long brown hair that swept over their eyes and a mask that you would wear to protect from germs going into the air. They then said, have fun with strep throat, and disappeared.
That is so weird.
The next morning, I woke up with a very sore throat, went to the doctor, and found out I had strep. Please share on the pod, and have a great day. Keep on creeping on. Cooper, a.k.a. Fritz Otrix, 27. I would like to point out that the episode that released today had my own prophetic dream about me getting sick, except mine involved COVID. I love how Robin says you're not sick. Just because you've been feeling sick all day and are extremely tired doesn't mean you're sick. So, yeah, it's really weird that this one came in literally the same day, or we're reading this one the same day that the episode released where I had my same dream. So that's super creepy, but really good shit. Also, it's really weird that you had a dream that someone came in and gave you strep throat.
What we don't know is there's a strep throat demon out there. It just likes to go through people's dreams and say, like, you have strep, everybody gets strep.
It's the Oprah demon of strep throat.
But, yeah, thank you for sending that to us. It's funny because you say that you sleep like a normal person, but I stayed up till 6:30 this morning.
I woke up at 6:30. I had an hour left to sleep, and Robin was still awake. I was like, are you still fucking awake? The sun is up. And she's like, yeah. I was like, okay, cool. I'm going back to sleep.
I had just finished my homework, and I was just like, finally sent it in. It's great.
Right on.
So this next email here that we got was actually sent to us from Instagram. And it's funny because when we do get stuff from Instagram, it's a little bit harder for us.
We have to copy and
because
paste
it's copy paste. But we got it. So, and this one's a long one, so it's great. All right. It goes. I've been haunted by multiple ghosts every time I visit Karen Witch Property, Brithder. That whole thing sounds like something from Lord of the Rings.
It kind of does, yeah. It's a good attention grabber, though. Solid first sentence.
Here are my stories. When I lived there, in the coach house, above the old stables, this sounds like you're not from this century.
Yeah, it really does.
My parents and my sister would often watch the lightning strike the ground. One time, lightning struck. The first time, a man flashed into life holding an umbrella. The second strike, in the same spot, the man's lying on the ground. Further along the same night, lightning struck, showing a man overlooking the first man, the second man holding a gun. So we would often shelter in the old stables under our house if it rained while we were outside. One time we were sheltering and I heard the soft distress of a horse on the stone ground. Then a man hushing the horse. My sister and I looked at each other, then at our parents, who shrugged it off as our imagination.
Our collective imagination all hearing the same thing.
The grounds surrounding Caronwich are massive, but once me and my sister were playing hide and seek, and I hid in the old dog kennels for the hunting dogs that were long gone at the time. The building was half overgrown, but I managed to squeeze through the brambles into the sleeping room of one dog, in which the old blanket still lies.
Where the fuck does this person live?
I don't know. This sounds insane. I was there hiding when a soft whimper woke me out of my own slumber. I saw a dog lying on the bed, so there's no dogs that are supposed to be here at the time. But They wake up, they see a dog lying in the bed, then its bark as it heard its owner call it out. I followed the dog as it walked out of the room into the front cage, outside of which a man stood, unlocking the kennel. I recognized the man immediately as the landlord's father, who had a painting in the big house. So I wonder if this person's not real, the dog's not real, it's just like something that they saw, you know what I mean?
It's just a vision they're seeing.
Yeah. I would also hear ghostly howls throughout the grounds, as I would run around aimlessly as a kid. The landlord would often invite us over for dinner at Easter, Christmas, those holidays. One time at Easter, I was finished and was excused from the table, so I went out and explored the house. I took the stairs up to the first floor. In UK measurements, I walked to the hallway, of which the left is visible from the massive... So they live in the UK.
Right.
So visible from the massive hall, but the right isn't. So I walked up, looked to the right, and got cold. At first, I didn't see anything, but a few seconds later, a woman's figure materialized. I guess she was around 22. She stood at 5 meters away from me, hence, like, the UK measurements, so 5 meters.
Around 15 feet. I'm feeling 22.
Oh, God. But
I will start singing, I swear to God.
But I was scared and cold, so I hurried away, apologizing to the woman. The same year at Christmas, my stupid 6-year-old brain did the same as with Easter, but only this time she stood at 2 meters, so she was much closer, and she slowly stepped towards me. I was frozen to the spot. Once she stood too close for comfort, she disappeared. That's creepy.
Yeah, people shouldn't disappear.
And, I mean, I'm assuming that this property has a lot of history to it and a lot of things that have happened on there. So that's why they keep seeing visions of creepy things like when the lightning struck and stuff like that. I am now 14, and everywhere I go, there are some parts of the property that feel cold, even in the summer. I checked with the landlord, who told me his sister died there at 20 years old. Maybe that's who they keep seeing. The last time I visited the hallway in 2017, I was 12. We crashed when exiting the long driveway. The car was totaled, and it wasn't the driver's fault because my father has a racing license, rally license, and a drifting course passed, so he's quite the driver. Once we arrived back home, I kept seeing black figures following me everywhere. Then it stopped when we visited a church during 2018 during the summer holiday. Just as a fact, I am an atheist. It's a shame they had to sell the newer house, which comes from around 1800-ish. The older house, 1600-ish, literally meaning old house, is even weirder. I visited Plas Hen this year, that must be the name of the house, in 2019, spring of 2019, and I knew the stories such as that a couple was renting the house. When the woman went downstairs at 5:30, when she saw the cleaner, not a regular for such a house, but when Hillary, the landlord's wife, came along to ask how the night had been, the American had answered with, "The night was great, but I thought the cleaner was really early." To which Hillary responded, "But we don't have a cleaner at Plas Hen since 1950. So this couple that's renting the house saw a ghost of a cleaner. That's kind of terrifying. The Plas Hen story that I have heard and have seen for myself was the nail story. I had been told that Hillary once went to clean Place Hen when she noticed a nail on the floor, so she picked it up and laid it in the windowsill, only for it to almost instantly zip back to the floor. In the most recent visit, I had dropped my phone. I went to pick it up when I saw a nail on the floor. I knew about the nail story since I was 10, so I decided to test it out, and indeed the nail zipped back to the ground. I confirmed that there was no magnet or anything under the floor. Because I held a steel caster to the same spot and pulled it away, no problem. I wonder, that's so weird though, to have something keep going to the same spot.
Yeah.
I still have the feeling that 8 years after the close encounter with the hallway ghost, that she still hasn't gone completely. I don't mind, she doesn't hurt me, but she does throw stuff around, like in the instance when I was sitting under my bunk bed, just chilling, and it started tilting with no warning. I quickly stood up and prevented it from falling over. Once I put it back, other stuff was thrown around, like clothing, books, Nintendos, I'm assuming they're like the handheld devices, right? Old toy cars. My room was an absolute mess, but when I left the room to grab a drink from downstairs and returned, it was in pristine condition like nothing had happened.
So that's a ghost that I need.
Yeah, can I get a ghost that cleans up my house or like vacuums up the dog hair? That'd be great.
That'd be so nice.
The carpet is just covered in dog hair right now.
A lot of laundry a ghost could really do. That'd be cool.
The most recent encounter I had with her was when I was at a regular field hockey training. We were all taking shots at the goal except me and my mate. Oh, this is so UK speak. As we were the defenders, they had to circumvent. I had a view into the darkness of the road behind the field, which has no lighting. I kept seeing flashes of her, and when I stopped moving, she'd materialize. After the training, my mate, who is a strong believer in the paranormal, agreed he saw the woman, and we made our way to the woman. But to no matter. I just love, like, that this is totally not American English because no one would ever say that.
Yeah.
It just sounds so fancy. As she disappeared when we got within 10 meters, but she looked exactly like the landlord's deceased sister. Even now, typing on my phone, I still feel a cold presence guarding and tormenting me. Longtime listener, Carol, by the way, the guarding feeling has long gone because of the many times my parents go to churches, most of the time, on holiday. But just as a fact, I already said, we're all atheists, so I don't believe in higher presences, but ghosts kind of tilted on that. Nice. Thank you so much, Carol. It seems like so strange that just because your parents kind of go to church or whatnot during Christmas holiday or things like that. It is weird,
yeah, to attend.
Maybe you kind of bring back good energy, though.
I don't know, to attend service, like when
even
you're
though
an
you're
atheist,
not really
seems
religious.
A little bit odd unless they're doing it because, like, it's a family gathering and they see multiple family members there. I don't know. I can't speak to it. Growing
up, I used to go with my friend's mom, like their family. They would go to church every Sunday and they would just take us. And me and my sister didn't necessarily go to church. That wasn't really our thing, but we still went, you know?
Right.
So
who knows?
Yeah. Thank you.
It's a lot of history in that house, so thank you for sending them.
A lot of history down that road.
Wow. So before we move into our next story, we are going to take a really quick commercial break. And we're back.
So this next email here is from Kay, and the subject is, feel free to share this. Thank you.
Kay.
Get it?
Because it's your name, and it's also the affirmative. Kay.
This isn't a very long story, but it's one I've been meaning to share. I sent in a story from my childhood a while back. Old lady that liked to cover me when I was sleeping. This story is more of a personal horror than scary story, I suppose, but here it goes. Almost 2 years ago, I was in an accident on my way home from work. The road I drove to and from work every day until a month ago when I got a promotion is in a rural area.
Congrats on the promotion.
Yeah, congratulations. One afternoon, as I approached the driveway of a fairly large farm, I could see a truck approaching the end of the drive. There's a line of trees and a few trucks with trailers that mostly block the view of the majority of this driveway. I thought he would stop since the road was fairly busy at that moment, but he did not. He pulled out right in front of me. I swerved to not plow into his driver's side door, but that caused me to flip my truck into its driver's side.
Holy shit.
That's terrifying. Car accidents scare me.
They're scary, dude. You can get hurt.
I slid across the road, hanging from the seatbelt, watching the pavement fly by. Holy fuck. That's terrifying. Now here is where the scariest part comes in. There is no way with my small frame that I should have stayed perfectly in my seat. I felt something holding me in place, even as my truck hit the field on the opposite side of the road and flipped onto the roof. I walked away from that wreck with only some damage to my left shoulder. That is insanely lucky. I know without a doubt in my heart that my grandpa, who had passed away 6 months before this, was with me. I know he was what held me in place and kept me alive that day. None of the first responders could believe that I barely had more than some scrapes and bruises. But I knew the moment I crawled out of the truck that I hadn't really lost my grandpa after all. That is so cool. I have chills. It's just like, the fact that your grandpa really didn't pass that long before that.
Right.
And it's just cool that you were able to survive something so traumatic. And we're glad that you're still here with us. That's really awesome.
It's really bizarre when you see accidents and you look at the wreckage of a car and you examine like how the accident went down when someone walks away without a scratch on them. You know, it's really hard to not think like that person is a guardian angel. Like, I got into a really bad accident when I was around 16 and my car was totaled. It was just absolutely destroyed. And we went to go take pictures of it at the towing lot. And like when we were standing there taking pictures of it, the guy who like walked us to the car was like, whoever was in this has got to be hurt. And I was like, it was me. He was like, you are the luckiest fucking person I've ever met. Because my car was just decimated. And I was like, yeah, I feel that way too. And I felt the same thing. Because like my grandfather had passed away like 3 years prior to that. But I always felt like he was watching over me. So
remember when Subaru used to have that commercial? It was like a whole campaign that they had where it was like get hit. Where the car was crushed and it would be at the tow yard or whatever, a scrap yard, and the people just stand there and say they survived.
Oh yeah, that was my car. Yeah, that's a really good campaign. So yeah, car crashes are intense too, and I think a lot of miraculous things tend to happen, or we feel like something happened because we are walking away from things that by all means could have, and in some cases should have killed us. So if you have stories like that, definitely send them in. I think a lot of folks have a story about a car crash or two, and sometimes it's like, yeah, it was just an intense crash, and sometimes something crazy happened. So
yeah,
we want to hear those too. So thank you for sending that in. All right, I'm going to move into my last and the last story of the episode. The subject on this one is story time, so we know exactly where this email was meant to go. It starts out like this. Hello, Robin and Dave, Andy, Adam. That's how it's written, so thank you for that. My name is Fairy, and yes, that is my real name. I know it's kind of weird, so just wanted to make it clear I'm not bullshitting my name. I'm glad you did that, because I would have been like, this person is a fucking liar. I sent you guys my aunt's story about her dogs and the possum, which is spelled opossum, which always throws me, that visited her before her dog was diagnosed with cancer. I do remember this story. Storytime 116. Anyways, I just heard it and it surprised me a little, not gonna lie, because I had just woken up and didn't expect to hear my story. Anyways, I have a couple more stories that I wanted to share. Story 1. This is my grandfather's story. When he was about 18 or so, he was in the military, and basically what he did was just drive a Jeep around or something I honestly don't really know.
Wow.
Anyways, one night he was driving the Jeep, and he was really tired, so he started... What is with the fucking car crashes this episode?
I don't know.
So he started to doze off while he was driving. He was barely awake when he saw a woman in an old-fashioned all-white dress...
The woman in white?
...on the side of the road. He pulled over because he thought she might need help, but when he turned his head to face her, she was gone. Another time, he was standing guard and again started to fall asleep. He woke up to the same woman in the white dress tapping his shoulder. She asked him for water, so he sleepily gave her directions to where she could get water, and after she thanked him, she vanished. Now, he could have been dreaming both these times, considering how tired he was, but it's interesting to me because it was the same woman both times.
That's creepy.
It could be a dream. It could be a guardian angel. You don't know. Story number 2. This story is my grandmother's. One night, I hope that you went around to your grandparents and were like, I need your scary stories. Give them to me right now. Because that's just really cool when you go and you ask your grandparents. It goes on to say, one night, my grandmother was lying in bed when she started to hear a little girl saying her name out in the hall. She figured it was one of my mom's sisters who had a nightmare or something because my mom was only a baby, so it couldn't have been her. My grandmother went out to the hall and saw a little girl with her back facing her. She automatically knew it was not one of her kids because all of her kids have dark brown hair, and this girl had bright blonde hair. The girl was in a blue, silky nightgown, and she was calling Mama.
Nope. Big ol' nope.
The girl started walking down the hallway, and my grandmother, confused and concerned, followed her. The little girl walked to the end of the hall to where the door leading to the attic was. Sorry, Robin, in parentheses. The girl opened the door and started going up the stairs. When my grandmother got up to the attic, she didn't see a little girl,
nope.
but she did see an old rocking chair in the middle of the room rocking by itself.
There's no fucking way.
I'm totally covered in goosebumps
That's like
right
something
now.
out of a horror movie.
It is something out of a horror movie. That's terrifying.
If there's a child that's trying to tell you to go up into the attic, there's something wrong.
Yeah. You just say, like, nope, that floor no longer exists to me.
Yep.
I'll go up in the daytime when the demons are asleep. My grandmother, by the way, I don't think that's factually accurate. I don't know if demons sleep during the day or not. My grandmother, tired, shrugged it off and went back to bed. After that night, no one experienced paranormal activity, and no one had ever experienced it before that night either, so this also could have been a very vivid dream, but in my opinion, it's still very creepy. Yeah, my opinion too. I agree with your opinion. Story number 3. This last story is mine, and is probably the least interesting, but it's the only paranormal thing that's ever happened in my boring life. That's so mean. When I was about 8 or 9, I lived in this big old yellow house with my mom and ex-stepdad. One day, I was sitting at the dining room table doing homework, and I heard a noise. When I looked up, I saw a girl about 15 or so in a pretty bluish dress and flowers in her hair. The girl was very pretty, and I didn't feel any bad vibes coming off of her, so I smiled and waved, and she waved back before walking towards the door and vanishing on her way. She was only there for about 10 seconds before she left. I only saw her one other time after that, but I didn't see her face because I only looked just in time to see her turning a corner, and when I walked over and poked my head out the door, I didn't see anything, but I did yell, "Hello," down the hall.
God.
There were also a few times where doors would close by themselves or lights would flicker off. I never felt like I was in danger whenever this stuff would happen. I actually felt quite comforted whenever this happened. I think she was just a sad teenager who died in the house and was happy to see another kid. This whole thing could have been an overactive child's imagination, but it's still interesting, I guess. Anyway, those are all the stories I have. Hope they're interesting enough. They absolutely were. I love the podcast very much, and I love the style of podcast.
Aww,
I also
nice.
wanted to say that I appreciate your few My Chemical Romance references. They are my absolute favorite band in the world, and it makes me happy. It makes me really happy to hear the references. Sorry if this email was too long, and sorry for the bad grammar and spelling. I never paid attention in school.
Oh my God.
Also, shout out to Spooky Mom. Okay, bye. And it signs off Fairy. Then it has a PS. Note to self-promote, but you know, I have an art account on Instagram called @_fairycorpses_, and I draw a lot of creepy stuff, so feel free to check that out if you wish. Okay, bye. Love y'all. Smiley face. Thank you for sending that in. They're really good stories. I wouldn't self-deprecate too hard on that because I thought they were all really interesting. Grandparent ones always are super interesting to me because they've seen some shit, and when they have a story, you know it's going to be like the cream of the crop. Like, here's the thing that I remember as being some really, really freaky shit.
Yeah.
So, thank you so much again for sending that in, and I highly recommend, I say this all the time, go talk to your parents, go talk to your grandparents. You don't have to say, like, hey, I want to collect your story to send it into this paranormal podcast. Just say, like, I have a really strong interest in things that are paranormal or spooky. Has anything like that ever happened to you? You know, and you'll see it as soon as you mention it. If you have a parent or a grandparent that has a story like that, their eyes will either light up or they'll get like a little bit like somber. Like when I bring that shit up to my dad, he always just gets like, he doesn't want to fucking talk about it. He like gets a little bit angry, you know? So I had to wait a really long time to talk to my dad about it, but it's a conversation that I'm really glad we had because knowing all the things that happened to him kind of brought me a little bit closer to him, and I understand him a lot more about like how it affected him and how he views a lot of things. So they're good conversations to have, and if you're comfortable and they are comfortable, please share those stories with us because we would absolutely love to hear them.
Yeah. Thank you.
So thank you to everyone who sent in their stories this episode. We sincerely appreciate it when you folks share with us. It is amazing to read things that you entrust to us because they are your stories and they can be deeply personal, so they mean a lot to us because you don't have to share that and you choose to. And if you have a story you would like to share with us, please email storytime@scarish.com or go to our website, scarish.com, and click on Contact Us. You can fill out that form. It comes directly to us, or you can hit us up on any of our social medias. Our Facebook is facebook.com/scarishpodcast. Twitter is @scarishpod. and Instagram is at Scarish Podcast. Robin, for folks who would like to donate to us monetarily, how can they do so?
If you would like to donate to us, you can go to patreon.com/scarishpodcast. Those are monthly donations. Tiers start at only $1. You can also go to ko-fi.com/scarishpodcast, and those are one-time donations. All your donations go to helping us upgrade our studio setup and keep this podcast going.
Indeed. So thank you one more time to everyone who joined us live, everyone who listened to us on the recorded versions. We just want to say thank you one last time. We appreciate every single one of you. So Robin, go ahead and sign us out.
Keep on creeping on, and we'll talk to you guys later.
Bye.